Hi, good evening, and welcome to today's Greenticker Daily Market Summary for the NGX. The NGX is the Nigerian equities market. Before I start off, I must offer my profuse apologies that this video is going later than usual. I had to make the video a bit lengthier than normal, lots of numbers, lots of tables, and that took more time than I had anticipated. But do let me know if you prefer this format. Hopefully not, because it takes more time. But if you do prefer this format, let me know. Drop a comment. If you prefer the other format, drop a comment. And so whichever wins, the majority carries the day at the end of the day. So apologies, this video is coming late. This video should be up 8 p.m. Nigerian time. I also should have a couple of videos or Spotify episodes rather on the equities space as well. Before I dive in, as always, the usual disclaimers: this is not financial or trading advice, and the usual appeal. Thank you for every comment, like, share. It goes a long way. And please, before you leave, because I know a lot of people might not be able to stay to the end of the video, and that's okay. I totally understand it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. It helps with views on and all that, and it just helps with discovery. The ultimate aim is to expand across Africa, and in the next couple of months, I'm sure the next 2-3 months, I would start to cover Kenya, and maybe Q1 next year would start to cover Botswana, Uganda, and the rest of Africa. So that's the goal. But we need the numbers, we need the likes, we need the shares, we need to keep growing in order to effectively do so. So let's dive right into it. All share index gained 0.70%. The index measures the average performance of stocks on the exchange. Because it's an average, some stocks will do better than the index, some stocks will do worse than the index. It was a bumper day on the NGX. It's all this year has been a bumper year on the NGX, but today was especially bumper because we had a chunk of firms from the insurance space, and this is just top 10 Guinness that you have. Guinness Nigeria, HM Core, Holding McCall, which is a firm in the real estate space, up 10%. Len Africa, which is in the publishing space, Mansard, which is in the insurance space, also up 10%. Mutual Benefits, also in insurance space. Insurance stocks, like I told you in the pre-market video, are going to be trending for at least this remainder of this trading week because of news of the president passing or signing rather the Insurance Act. So you have Mutual Benefits, Assurance up 10%, Mayor Paints up 10%, NEM Insurance up 10%, Score Conglomerate up 10%, CI Leasing and Consolidated Hallmark round up the top 10 gainers, both closing at 9.97%. Consolidated Hallmark is in the insurance space. So today was the day for insurance stocks. On the loser side, you had the NGX Group, UACN. Both fell by 10%. NGX Group, parent company of the exchange. UACN, one of Nigeria's oldest conglomerates. Stock had popped last week and a few days ago following news that they are planning to buy Chi Limited. Chi Limited is the firm behind the popular Chivita juice and Hollandia yogurt. Living Trust, Mortgage Bank, Multiverse, RT Briscoe down 9.93%, 9.68%, and 9.0% respectively. TIP, The Initiates, PZ, and Champion fell 7.14%, 5.37%, and 5.31% respectively. Legend Internet rounds up the top 10 losers for the day, down by 4.38%. Now, in terms of most active stock by value, and just to give some context, there's a difference between value and volume. Value is the value of the shares traded. Volume is the number of shares traded. So most active stock by value. Zenith, 4.5 billion worth of shares traded. Consolidated Hallmark Insurance Space, 2.6 billion worth of shares traded. MTN Nigeria, 1.7 billion naira worth of shares were traded. And you can see the rest: UBA, Access, GTCO, Sterling, Dangote Cement, Okomo Oil Palm, and Nigerian Breweries. A lot of blue chip stocks: MTN, UBA, Access, GTCO, Danksem, Okomo. I mean, literally lots of blue chip stocks. So, and these are, I would say, the banks tend to be top in terms of value because they're one of the most priciest, and and all that. So on the flip side, most actively traded stock by volume, consolidated hallmark. A bunch of these now, depending on where you are looking at the transactions from. If you are looking at your normal daily market summary data across markets, then you have much lower volumes for consolidated hallmark. But it appears there was a off-market transaction. So if you add off-market transaction, you get a billion shares traded. And this is a significant transaction. Or today's volume is significant for this firm because this is a company that has a outstanding shares of about 10 billion. So you have a billion shares traded. That's huge. Just to confirm, let me just give some color. The A total of 996 million shares were traded for consolidated hallmark in an off-market transaction. So the bulk of shares traded were off-market transactions. Like I said, this is huge. I hope we'll get some color in the next few days because this firm has 10 billion shares issued. So a billion shares traded, that's almost 10% of the company's issued shares. Link Assure, Sterling, ICO, like I said, this is insurance week. So don't be surprised if you see insurance firms trading large volumes. Now, through the popular demand request I got, I'd asked in my pre-market video for today, what do you want me to cover? Do you want cement firms or paint firms? I had decided to do both, but I got a lot of requests, and as always, I'm building a community here. Their requests, I try my best to meet those requests. So these are the big three cement players listed on the NGX. Indeed, the big three cement players in the country being Nigeria. Danksem has operations across Africa, so it's one of Africa's probably top three or top four biggest cement players as well. And just to explain the accounting, the N and you have the comma and it's a hyphen. It's a hyphen, a comma, apostrophe rather. Pardon my English. At the top you have the apostrophe and 3 zeros. All that simply means is that for all the numbers you see here, you add those 3 zeros at the end. So these numbers are reading, the top numbers for Dangote Cement are reading trillion, while the top numbers for, indeed most of the numbers for Boa Cement and Lafarge are in the hundreds of billions. So clearly you can see the numbers. I mean, I had initially wanted to put 2024 numbers, each one alongside each one, but that would have been too many numbers, and I wasn't quite sure if people could assimilate. So sometime tomorrow morning, I probably would cover the on Spotify. I do the cement numbers, but today you should probably get all paints numbers, H1 numbers, H125 as well as H124 for Cap, Mayor Paints, and Beggar Paints. So these are the numbers. And my views, I'm sure people will just jump into the views. I have a buy view on Danksem, hold view on Boa Cement, and a buy view on Lafarge. I think that beyond the numbers I have here, I think Lafarge probably will be the firm that would have the most mileage left to run. Now, in case you're wondering, why do I have a hold view on the Boa Cement? It's quite simple. We are in a bull market. Stock market is up over 40%. It's unlikely that this stock is going to decline massively. And when you look at the team, construction space, going by their numbers, has had a rebound of some sort. In my view, it would not make sense to sell this stock, at least till Q1, when you probably cash out the full year dividend if you want to do so and decide. And in any case, if you're a long-term player, I don't think that 1 year's momentum should be the deciding factor as to buy or sell. So this really is a 1 year view. If you have a multi-year view, let's see how the coming years shape out. So these are my thoughts on the firms. Margins, as always, for anybody who's followed my videos, you know that I like to look at margins a lot, and you can see margins for Dangote Cement. I know people grumble and complain about cement margins, but I mean, I think in an environment with inflation in mid-teens now. If you're having a 25% profit margin, I don't think that's a problem. So net profit margin simply means that for every 1 naira in revenue, how much are you making as profit? And so for Dangote Cement, that's 25 kobo on every 1 naira as profit. Abua Cement is 31 kobo on every 1 naira as profit. Lafarge Africa 25 kobo on every 1 naira as profit. I don't think that's a problem. I know people grumble about this thing. Some people might say, hey, these margins need to go, but I don't see that as a problem. And so these are my thoughts on the cement firms. You can pause the video at this point if you want to do so, just to study the numbers and all. I wish I could put year on year. I probably would do that for the article that should come up. I'm overdue writing. Let's see. Maybe I can probably do that tomorrow. I need to dedicate tomorrow to writing. So these are my thoughts on the three cement players. To the paint sub sector, I have a whole view on CAP, chemical and allied paints. Beggar paints accumulate, which means to gradually build a position, while for Mayer paints it's a sell. And it's the justifications are simple. Mayer Paints is trading at 17 times earning. If you believe that H1 performance will be replicated for the rest of the year, you're getting a 1 naira, maybe 0.4 kobo in earnings. So the question is, why would I want to pay 17 times earnings for Mayer Paints, which is the smallest of the players? I just don't see it that way. Yes, you might argue that from the profit margins perspective, they have the highest profit margins, but they're really small. H1 revenue is about 2 billion. So full year revenue is coming at 4 billion. But you can also do some mathematical rigmarole, if I can use that word, and say, look, if Beggar Paints is trading at 8 times earnings and Mayer Paints is trading at 17 times earnings, Beggar Paints has three times the revenue of Mayer. How do you justify Mayer's valuation? I'm sure in my previous video or previous tweets somewhere, I have lines and lines and pages of Excel sheets. And you can do this research on your own as well. Search for the 5-year earnings CAGR. CAGR meaning cumulative average growth rate. Look for the 5-year earnings CAGR for this firm. I don't think it's more than maybe 12, 15% for across the bridge, at least for Mayer Pain. So the question is, I just cannot justify paying 17 times earnings for Mayer Paints when you have way bigger players trading at 8 times earnings and 10 times earnings. So, even if you want to be generous and say, okay, I think the smaller player, there's more room for growth, maybe I'll then use a 12x multiple, meaning I think this stock should trade at 12 times earnings per share. EPS means earnings per share, by the way. That's maybe 12 naira, but the stock is trading at 17 naira 80 kobo. So these are my thoughts on these firms. They probably might change. If somebody has a multi-year view, I don't think cap, and I think I did this early this year. I'm not sure if it was a video, I tweeted it. But if you were to use, say, maybe a 10-15% earnings CAGR, that means earnings growth rate for cap. The question you might ask is, if you have full year earnings of what, 6 naira and 22 kobo, and you assume that grows by 15% every year, what does that mean? And in 5 years, you're up 75%. So that means in 5 years, you're probably at 9, 10 times earnings. And if you then use a 10x multiple, 10 times 10 means that stock probably should be trading at 100 naira in 5 years. To be candid with you, I think the next 2-3 years, CAP is definitely going to be 100 naira stock. So that's just my rough hand view. But of course, there's maths and there are my thoughts. You can combine both, but you be the judge. That's my thoughts. It may or may not happen or come to reality. So these are my thoughts on the paints space. As always, please follow the Greenticker Tales podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music. As at the time you're going to watch this, I would have a Spotify episode on one or more of the different paint firms up. as well. So thank you for, I hope you've watched the entire video. Thank you for watching so far, and see you in tomorrow's pre-market video. That should come up, inshallah, that should come up by 9:30 a.m. West African time. I don't think it's going to be as lengthy as this, but you never can tell. Markets run 247, so it's possible you may have some key news items before then. But let's see how it goes. Have a blessed rest of the day ahead.